Welcome to the Deadly Addictions channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Red One. So, looking for a Christmas movie, I came across this and I thought, what harm can it do? Maybe there'll be another Christmas movie I'll fit into my repertoire. And yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Sorry. In any case, I enjoyed the movie. I gotta admit, it was just fun. It has, has some good tropes and elements. I gotta say, J.K. What was it? What's the fucking actor's name now? J.K. Simmons. He's great in everything. The Rock wasn't bad in this. Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans is in it. Lucy Liu. I had a good time watching this movie. I'm not going to say it's great or it's definitely going to fit into my Christmas spirit movie watching like I do for Halloween and, well, maybe. But it has enough action and, heartfelt story that it carries you through, and it's got a little bit, of a family element and a lesson to be learned. A Christmas movie at heart, but it's got a lot of action, and I could see this being something people are going to watch, and it's not horrible, bad. I think I get a kick out of watching a movie like this when you got new twist on things and Santa's real and he's hiding. No one knows he's real in that sense of he's never been caught doing his sleigh rides every year, and the methods that his team, so to speak, ELF, right? ELF, what they go through to make this happen once a year. And I like this spoiler. They, introduce his brother, Krampus, and that's an element of the story. Good fun all around. Again, is it an amazing movie that I'm going to watch every year? Well, maybe for the mindset that I'm in, let's say. I'm going to watch Die Hard, action movie, and it's got that Christmas feel and, Elf and things like that. I think if I'm in an action mood and I'm in a fun comedy type mood, I'll watch this movie again, with friends or someone else that has never seen it possibly. But getting on to like two negatives that I wrote down, I think the beginning of this movie could have used a little bit of a edit or a tweak here and there. It starts off as a kid, with a bunch of kids at Christmas and highlighting Chris Evans' character as someone who can find them. And mind you, these are children. It didn't feel right. It felt like it was added on. Because later in the movie, when you get into the real heart of the story and you find out Lucy Liu, head of this division that protects Santa or keeps him secret, and it has to do with other mythological creatures. So you could do lots of spin-offs. She already describes, and you can see who Chris Evans' character is. I think his name is Jack in the movie. And it just feels like the beginning just doesn't feel right in the movie. Maybe, I don't know, having kids in the movie does add to the, something that kids are going to want to watch, but I think kids are going to have fun with the movie in general, seeing all the weird twists on Christmas. But okay, that's like a gripe I had. And when it comes to showing Chris Evans' character, Jack, older, and like I said, Lucy Liu will describe who he is and what he does. He's a tracker, hacker, but they say he's a bounty hunter too. And when it comes to the first action fight scene with him, I thought it was too overdone. He's too good at what he does, but his attitude doesn't match. And maybe to me, it's just the saying, or, if you're gonna be a hacker, tracker, he's perfect for it. But seeing him take on lots of people in an action scene, a fight scene, didn't feel right or true for the character. And the fight scene's a pretty long one, and he seems to get the upper hand, and with the luck and skill. I thought it was misplaced. But those are really the only two gripes, in the sense that they didn't feel right or place in the movie right. Now, you could have maybe done the movie a little non-linear, let's say, and showed the threat of, spoilers, the kidnapping of Santa. And we can't have Santa being kidnapped and 2 days before Christmas. It's like a day before Christmas Eve. So they don't have a lot of time. They got like 24 hours. And The Rock is like his commander of the ELF and bodyguard type thing. But there's a lot of fun in the movie. A lot of cool banter. Just the amazement of what's real and what's not. And a really minor nitpick type thing, more than a gripe in that sense, is during the movie they're showing, or in the beginning, let's say, Chris Evans is brought into the organization. I think it's Mora. And they're showing the Headless Horseman being brought in for questioning and mythological creatures. But when it's revealed, spoiler, that the villain is like the Christmas witch, my brain just went, well, why wasn't that at least brought up? Or like, we can't find her, we can't get a hold of her, because it seems pretty fucking obvious. Like, that's who it's got to be, at least be talked about, like, oh, we haven't seen her in centuries, or, whatever. Other than that, like, what can you say? You get through the movie, it's a fun romp, it's got some cool action. Again, little tidbits and their own twist on Christmas and all the machinations that go into how it's done. They plan for 364 days, that type of thing, and it's got to be done right. Santa's got these huge deer that fly his sleigh, and it's what is it? I think it's The Rock's last day before he retires, and you find out he's like 300 years old, or maybe he worked for 300 years, but he's older. And there's a line like, The Rock is talking to Chris Evans, and he mentions something, and Chris Evans is like, "Well, you're not human." And The Rock's like, "Do I look human?" he does look human, but he's a big guy. And again, I'm gonna watch a movie like this and just enjoy it for what it is. It's not gonna be Oscar worthy in that sense, but I don't have a lot of bad things to say about a movie like this that just takes the Christmas spirit, has a little bit of family thing in there. You got to change your ways type thing, and being on the naughty list, and their own explanations for things. It was pretty fun, interesting. Again, if I'm going to nitpick, and yeah, the beginning scene with the kids didn't feel right. Maybe you could do that as like a flashback, I don't need to see like a 9-year-old world-weary kid who doesn't believe in Santa Claus and is finding all the gifts, and it just, didn't feel right even with the talk with his father. But when it gets to the future, later in years, and Chris Evans, this, mercenary guy taking the money to do a job, and it works. Again, you got a couple of things that just feel out of place, but I gotta admit, a movie like this is just a fun movie to be had. You've got, again, maybe like the soundtrack and things like that. But what are you really gonna get out of a movie like this that's gonna show like fun creatures and how they fit into the scheme of Santa, elves, trolls, snowmen, that type of thing. A little bit of a one of the funny things, but one of the little quirks about the movie is that certain toys can be activated, like the reality can be changed. And at one point, when Chris Evans finds out it was Jack or whatever his character, the second time or like another time or the next time, because The Rock goes to a toy store, starts grabbing all these toys and games, and he tells Chris to grab a Hot Wheels that's practical type thing. And he doesn't, of course. He takes like a fucking insanely fast, flashy car. That the next time Chris Evans is like, asks the toy guy, goes, "You got a Wonder Woman doll?" And I thought that was funny because they call back to it later in the movie where they find out that the shapeshifters are replacing The Rock's team. And when he finds Chris Evans, because they're separated, he doesn't know if he's real or the real Jack, and so to speak. And he questions him. He says, "If you had one toy you would make come to life, like, what would it be?" And he's like, "Wonder Woman." He's like, "Okay, this is him." It reminded me of the first X-Men movie where Cyclops, not sure if Wolverine's Mystique, and he says something, and Wolverine's like, "Fuck you." And he's like, "Okay, that's it." Anyway, again, you go to a movie like this, it didn't feel way too long, or, you know, if anything, it's just little edits I would have done, little tweaks, maybe move things around. You could even cut out the first part of the movie because it's show and tell is on the screen with who Chris Evans is, and it's a minor thing, I think, but, you know, I did jot it down. I was like, oh, you know what, this is like something that's not jiving with me. The first fight scene with Chris Evans, he doesn't need to be formidable. He didn't need to be, you know, skilled in hand-to-hand combat to the level that they showed. You want to show him being lucky and just a common sense everyday guy who's really one of the best people at tracking people, hacking. I think that is something you don't need to add on like a big, huge martial arts or, you know, hand fighting capable guy. Although, again, they do mention he's a bounty hunter type thing, mercenary for the highest order, you know, whatever the fuck. But you could have done it in a more subtle way without showing, you know, because you got The Rock there, and when they start to team up, it's clear. You know, The Rock's the bodyguard, and whatever, and Chris Evans is the savvy, you know, sort of street smarts, bounty hunter, mercenary, hacker. You know, he's in this movie, he's just too much. He's got a little bit too much, but again, it's a fucking minor nitpick on a Christmas movie that blends some action and comedy, a fun twist on things here and there. You know, it's fun to see like how they're gonna integrate. You know, Krampus is his brother, and they have Slapper Day or something, and there's a device that The Rock has on his arm. It's like not a gauntlet, maybe, you know, forearm thing, and he can shoot the toy with it, and it turns into a real car or robots, and it is a cool element to it, and it's a little zany, but again, I can see kids just going berserk and really enjoying a movie like this, you know, letting their imaginations run wild. It's something I think I could see being a staple for some kids, and then not a really, you know, it's a new age. Like I'm getting older, you know. I've said it before. I'm born in '71, so could this be a movie for a new generation of Christmas? Sure. You know, it doesn't have some of the adult dry humor that you know, something like Elf might have here and there, or, you know, when you go through them, but fun. Has some humor in it that works, especially when you're pairing certain people together. It's serious tones and never too heavy-handed in that sense, unless it comes to the Jack and his kid, which is one of the themes you're going to want to hit on, and I get it. Jack might be formidable in hand-to-hand and hacker, bounty hunter, mercenary, whatever, but he's a shitty father, and he knows he's a shitty father. And it's that scenario where his wife, or his ex-wife, well, I don't know if he said he was even married, but she's married now to a great guy. He's a great father, and the gist is, hey, I got to keep a distance from my kid, because you can already see the kid's fucked up in a sense. One of the first interactions between them is the ex-wife calls him up and says, your son got in trouble at school, I need you to pick him up. He picks him up, and the kid wanted to play guitar, which I thought was great. So he went into the computer and hacked it to switch his class from history to music. And then a friend asked him to do it, and he did it for the friend or something, or he didn't, and he ratted him out. And Chris Evans goes through this thing he's like, oh, you're disappointed. He's like, yeah, and he tells him how to be a good criminal. It was like, this is the type of father he is. Subtle and over-the-top things mixed into a movie where you're going to have fun, laugh, action carries you through. It doesn't get, like I said, sometimes it could be too heavy-handed. Maybe some people would say it was. And you don't get to see J.K. Simmons a lot here and there, but when he's on the screen, he's just like magic. I don't know where this fucking guy came from with, Spider-Man back in the day. It's almost like, realizing that certain characters and actors were there all the time, but did you sit and notice them and they didn't have that gravitas that they have at certain points in their career? I'm watching Darkman and Gandalf actors and shit, this guy, but he seems like one of those actors who comes in late into his career and he just owns everything. He's just charming, and he should be recognized as one of the great actors of this age. I don't think there's nothing he might be in bad movies, you can say, but I don't think he's ever bad in them. So this is not a rant. It's not a super gushing of a movie. It's like, oh, I was just in the mood to look for a Christmas movie. This was out. It's new. It's got again, like I said, a couple unique twists on things. Is it gonna I don't know, I'd be curious to see, would it break box office records for its I don't know what the budget is. It does look like a high budget movie. But I could see it doing well. I could see it lasting for a generation who's, in certain movies, I don't know why I think of Elf as a recent movie when it's probably fucking not. But, you're going to get a humor, fun, but a lot of action and a lot of twist on, or insights into what this world's Christmas is and how it works. And, The Rock, who, I guess he looks his age in real life, but he doesn't look like 300 something years old, who is just tired of the work. And it's not the kids. He loves the kids. It's the adults. So you've got him coming to terms with that with Chris Evans. Chris Evans is, what was he, level 4 on the naughty list, or class 4, one of the jokes. And it's probably been that way his whole life. And this movie is the catalyst for that change in him. And there's a scene where him and his son are caught in these, I guess, it's naughty list globes that the witch, the villain of the movie, is going to use to, I think her goal was to make all the people on the naughty list pay all at once on one night rather than, picking him off in a sense. So I guess there's not a lot of really, you're not looking at it in the point of view where so many things just compounded on top of each other and just started annoying me or giving me a sense like, why am I watching this movie? It happens a lot in certain movies. And again, I tried to say when I do my podcast, like, what mindset am I in? Am I going in, a bad mood? What's going on in my life? Lots of things have happened recently, so maybe I'm looking for just something that's gonna, bring a little joy. And the movie did. Happy I watched it in that sense. I'm not really gonna shit on this movie, but the more I think about it, repeating, but the beginning of the movie, the whole thing with the kids, I think could have been even cut out or displaced differently. The threat and the level of, oh my God, Christmas might be ruined, should have happened a little sooner in that way. Maybe a little, like I said, non-linear storytelling in here just to mix things up. But this is just me looking for things to express when I, do a couple of notes here and there, but there's nothing that's constant. In some of my podcasts, I'll get to a point where I'm like, this music and the loud bangs, and it's so repetitive that I almost stop taking notes, and I'm like, this is just now not a fun experience, even if I'm watching like a horror movie, because way too many horror movies these days are loud bangs and music cues at whatever, and it's just overused in that sense. This is not that bad in that way of, am I going to really hop on and get annoyed at a movie that's not really fitting for me? And no, I had fun with it. I had a good time getting through the movie. I was curious here and there about little twists they were doing. Some of the performances are really charming, and it tells its own story. And yes, they're not brand new. Oh my God, we're rewriting this new method of acting and storytelling type thing. I thought it really just had fun with itself, was just trying to tell a story that it told pretty well. You get through it, it's not dragging on too much, or really just a good time in it. That's really what I was looking for. Maybe at another point, like if I watched this in the middle of the year, something I missed and went back on it, was I really looking for holiday cheer? And am I going to find this in, July if it was the first time watching it? I don't know. There's a little bit of part of me in the back of my mind that's like, I know certain friends are just going to roll their eyes at this movie. But I think when you think about it, like, this is going to be one of those in-between movies. It's going to be fun for the parents to watch with their kids. It has this story to tell. Christmas Eve is approaching. Santa's been kidnapped. What's the top sort of twist in the movie? Some really cool effects and, fun to be had. And it's a pretty perfect role, or, roles for Dwayne Johnson and Chris Evans to play off each other. The Rock's The Rock. And, I give him credit in the, passing the torch from Arnold to him, action star. He's huge levels of charisma that come through that. Look, let's be real. I don't think Arnold is a great actor at all. It's just his charm and his charisma that comes through, and parts that are written for him properly. Because some of those first movies are just so bad. Like, you watch Commando again and things like that. But, but then it comes Predator or Conan, which is just suited for him. But I would say Rock's a better actor, and he's playing this role where he's just this 300-year-old, tired of the adults in this grand scheme, and he's going to retire. Chris Evans is this street smart, savvy hacker mercenary guy. His luck is he gets this money transferred to him because half the job is done type thing, and he's cheering like yes, yes, and he looks to the right, and there's a boxing match that he bet on. The guy loses, and he's like, no, no, and that's kind of subtle in the movie like this, where it's sort of heavy-handed with, yeah, he's a bad father. He's going to change. His heart's going to, grow 3 times larger. It'll be something that'll, be highlighted in the movie, and it's not going to, break new ground and stuff. But how many Christmas movies are we going to get about even a Santa Claus? And we can go into, that fucking actor's name, the comedian Tim something, in the Santa Claus movies, what's the thread, and I find this more for me in that sense, a fun romp, cool twist, and imagination is a little bit more running wild in this. You expect The Rock to do what he does, even when he has his gauntlet and he's fucking shooting a beam at a Hot Wheels car that turned into a real car. Chris Evans wants a Wonder Woman doll. I thought that was funny, and it's filtered through the movie enough where it breaks up some of the monotony of things. And again, one of my pet peeves these days is just getting to a movie and during it, I start feeling, like an uncomfortable feeling, like I have to watch this, or, I don't really do my podcast for huge fucking likes and accolades. It's more my therapy, and I need to get out these things and talk about them. And how is it going to impact my life in the way where an everyday person is just going to say, you know what, I watched a Christmas movie, it was fun, it had action, it had a story to tell with its little tropes and naughty list thing, and it hits a lot of them. I was surprised that they actually put Krampus in there and made him an actual, more than just a stopgap, and because it was just a stopgap to begin with, and you can tell that's where I thought it was going to go, and I was kind of surprised and pleasantly surprised. But they do a callback, and he comes back at the end. J.K. Simmons again doesn't get enough time in this movie, but he's Santa and he serves the purpose because what do they say at the end? Chris Evans is like, did we just save Christmas? And The Rock's like, yeah, I think we did just save Christmas. Again, I'm not going to sit here in this breakthrough movie. It has enough elements of what makes a Christmas movie, work for me. And like I said, the mindset. I want to be in a fun action thing. I don't want to be too serious. Of course, I want to watch my Die Hard Christmas movie, but you know where that goes, and that's a slightly humorous take on a cop going to see his wife who is, not in a good relationship, and the Nakatomi building. Oh my God. This has some cool, I could see this being a fucking video game, has some elements in there. I don't know if they do that too much these days. I'm not a big gamer, but are they still putting out like shitty video games based on a movie? Probably for superheroes, I know. And I'm going to look back on this fondly and not really get too worked up about how good it was or how bad it was. And it does enough, again, to put itself in a pretty unique position, and not, like I said, super groundbreaking, but the elements of it are a fun Christmas movie, maybe more geared for children, but I got a feeling like a parent would enjoy watching this over and over with their kids every Christmas. I don't see it being, something that is like, oh God, I gotta watch this movie. My kid's putting this movie on again. You might have to watch this more than once a year. Again, it's got enough to wow kids and give them a little bit of a scare with a little bit of a heartfelt, element here and there. Of course, Chris Evans has got to redeem himself, and The The Rock does like say he doesn't want to retire at the end. One of those things. Again, when you got the fucking spin-offs hinted at in a way done in the story pretty well. Because when Chris Evans is brought into the fold and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, and he kind of doesn't. He's telling the truth. Where he did the work when he doesn't know, who pays him and stuff like that. It's all encrypted and secret. But he does have a backup plan for insurance in case, he's got to get his money and stuff. And that leads to it. But they're bringing in the Headless Horseman, and one of the agents is a big polar bear guy. A lot of things that are gonna, catch kids' attention, and even me as an adult, the snowmen, and they're on like a beach in Aruba. You wonder why they're not melting, but I guess magical ice. And spoilers, you got to take the carrot out of their fucking nose. I mean, come on, who doesn't notice? And the Rock trying to stop the kidnapping and sliding down these tubes, and his action. Pulls out like a jet ski out of his pocket, shoots it with the beam, becomes a real one because it's a little toy. Little things that, make the movie enjoyable, super groundbreaking, maybe not, but a fun ride. And I really think kids will enjoy this. It's a recommendation in that sense. You're going to watch a movie, Chris Evans is just, I don't know. Where do you put him? To me, he's Captain America, probably forever. But I did like the twist in the Deadpool Wolverine movie. Spoiler, he's playing Johnny Storm, which I thought he played great. Because I think I liked him better as Johnny Storm than as Captain America. He had to win me over. I wasn't interested in him being Captain America, to be honest. But he's a good actor, and I don't know. I just don't know enough for people to say, no, Joey, he's a great actor. But him and The Rock work well together. Lucy Liu doesn't have much to do in the movie, but she's one of those, overseer, head of the division. Was it Mora? What does this fucking stand for? I forget the Mythological Oversight and Restoration Authority. I mean, come on. These things are like going on out there and humans don't notice. A fun ride. In the end, that's really what I'm going to say here. This is a fun movie. I would dare say it's a good movie in that sense. What am I going to do? Take my little nitpicks and say it ruined the movie? No. But again, a couple of people come to mind where I can see them rolling their eyes like this isn't a, this isn't for them, blah, 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 it's stupid, and da-da-da. But I think that's what it's meant to be. It's just meant to be a fun ride, and again, maybe geared more for kids, but I do recommend it. I had fun watching it. I do not regret watching it, which is, somewhat, I've done some watching it. I don't even do podcasts on. Like, I'm so fucking annoyed at certain things. And maybe for me it's more horror, but I got a kick out of it. I was a little bit taken by was it Gria, is the witch and her story, because you would have thought that would have been at least foreshadowing right off the bat. Because when they're bringing in the Headless Horseman, and I'm like, when it's later revealed it's the witch of Christmas, I'm like, wait, what? You shouldn't that have been like your first suspect? But is it going to be something that people are going to gripe on? No, I don't think so. So I recommend Red One. And I thought it was a good play on, the president and stuff. And by the way, like the government's in on it. And I thought that was pretty cool. It's not like they're hiding from everything. And, I think Lucy Liu's like, no, I have to brief the president and stuff that we might not have a Christmas. Oh my God, that type thing. Enough fun, enough. It wasn't overhanded, heavy-handed type thing. I'm going to recommend Red One for the fun of it. Chris Evans and The Rock just work together in this movie for me, with little elements of mythological stuff and little surprises, a little bit of ingenuity and how things work. And I'm gonna say I don't regret watching this, which is one of the praises I give maybe now, because I get a little too, annoyed with this stuff. Well, in that case, I guess I'll end this here. Red One, watch it. I think it's a fun movie, Christmas spirit type thing. And I hope everybody has a great Christmas and a happy New Year. Again, I'm not sure how I put these things out from editing, and sometimes they're not in the order that I record them, but okay. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, whatever the fucking terms are these days. My best to you and yours. Take care.